Thank you. The next morning, my dad's fever goes down. Thank God. My aunt and I grab a bite to eat in the hospital cafeteria, and I tell her about the problems that Kevin and I have been having.
That is so interesting, Lisa. Because when you were about Ezra's age, your mother confided in me that she was thinking of leaving your father. But then she got cancer. Thought she was stuck, made the best of it. They had their medical practice, went on vacations, but if you think about it, she went her way, he went his.
I'm not all that surprised by this secret. It's more like this confirmation of a hunch that I didn't know that I had. I mean, my parents' relationship always seemed emotionally lopsided to me. My dad depended on my mom for his emotional well-being, but my mom did not depend on my dad for her emotional well-being. And now I've duplicated that dynamic in my relationship with Kevin. Shit! My dad's feeling better, and my aunt decides to go home the next day, even though my dad's still in the hospital. He's disappointed. I guess everybody has limitations, Lisa. You want one thing, they can only give you something else, or if you want more than the other person can give, there's nothing you can do about it. Dad, I know Susan's gone, but I'm still here. I'm happy to talk about anything. I want to apologize to you about how I fell apart after Mommy died. I wish it could have been some other way, but her death was just too much for me. Those were really hard years for both of us. I'm glad we made it through and found each other again. My dad goes home from the hospital a week later. Ezra's in preschool. I take Murray to story time at the library. We share a cupcake on the grass. Look at all the happy people who aren't in the hospital. Friday morning, just 32 hours until Kevin and I get our first date night in 6 weeks. The phone rings. And it's the woman in Petaluma who took our dogs. She didn't bathe Sophie like she promised she would, so Sophie's skin condition has flared up, and she's being aggressive with the woman's other dogs because Sophie is in pain. The woman says that Percy can stay, but if I don't come to pick Sophie up, she will put Sophie down. I decide to go get her. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to wake up at 5 every morning, take her for a walk, and hire a trainer to stop the food stealing. It's a long shot that I can find a new home for her, but I've got to try. It's not Sophie's fault that this woman didn't honor her commitments, but I made a commitment to that woman who wears Cocker Spaniel sweaters. And if I don't honor that commitment, what other commitments is it okay for me to break? Ever since my mom died, I've had this recurring dream, that she's not really dead. She faked her death and moved to an undisclosed location because I was too much for her and she had to get away from me. I have fantasies every day about living alone in a studio apartment in another city. I go up to Petaluma, pay the vet there $1,000, bring Sophie home, put her in the back room so that she won't jump on the dining room table while the babysitter feeds the kids dinner. The box with her things in it is back there too, and what I don't know is that her old antibiotics are in that box. She finds them, gobbles them up. The babysitter calls as soon as she realizes what happened. and I decide that we won't go home right away. I decide that Kevin and I will continue eating dinner. I decide that we will go back to his office and watch The Daily Show on the sofa. A box of old antibiotics. How bad could that be? I chose to have kids. I chose to get dogs. I chose to bring Sophie back into our lives. But I still can't accept that I don't control the consequences of those choices. They are doing everything they can for her. I'm going to need to run your credit card. Thank you. Initial charge, $1,000. We'll let you know if it runs any higher. Everything in this waiting room is plastic, easy to clean white, except for this television screen that's showing a slideshow of falling leaves, sunsets over water, peaceful endings. They're supposed to keep you calm as your dog's life hangs in the balance. At least, they're having that effect on me. Although I feel so guilty. I don't know if I deserve soothing. Kevin's here with me. $2,000 in one day, and it could go higher. That's our kids' college tuition on a stupid dog. You're paying all of it. Who am I kidding? All comes from the same pot. Fuck! 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 Lisa, that idiot who grew up on the dairy farm in Burnips, Michigan. Parents lost the farm, wound up in a double-wide trailer. It's stupid decisions like getting 2 dogs that drag you down. Back to Burnips. Kevin, you are not going back to Burnips. What choice did we have but to come here? Were we going to leave Sophie at home, convulsing with the kids? Now, we just have to wait and see what happens. It has come to this. Date night at Pet Emergency. Me wanting to save our dog because the creatures we love should never be too much for us. Kevin wanting to toss her overboard to save the family. The next evening, kids' room, door closed, 6 loads of laundry. The day started with a call from Pet Emergency. Sophie kept having seizures. What would have happened if I'd brought her in right away? Kevin stomping around the house. So, Lisa, what's the plan now? I didn't know. No one else did either. I thought more love would protect me. Nope. It just brings more responsibility. I sent Kevin to be with Sophie when they gave her the shot. This is the first moment I've had alone all day, but I can still hear Kevin on the other side of that wall. Okay, Ezra, you chose your paper. Green, very nice. The book says that we start by folding it in half. Murray, I thought you wanted to watch television. Okay, climb on up. Here's a piece of paper. You don't want orange. You want green. Murray, I don't know what to tell you. Ezra is using the last piece of green paper. Ezra, are you sure you don't have to do this? That's very sweet. Murray, please thank your brother for giving you his piece of green paper. Okay, so the book says that we start by folding it in. Ezra, I'm so sorry, Murray pooped. I gotta go change him. I'm glad Sophie's dead. And I was the one who made the decision. Have I made all the big family decisions alone? Kevin hasn't risen to the occasion. My dad decided when he and my mom would have kids, she worked so hard to get through medical school, and then bam, she was pregnant too. Got cancer, died. So she was checked out. What's my excuse? Unless it's your calling, being alone with 2 little kids is boring as shit. Even when you're doing things that are supposed to help you bond with them, like mother-infant yoga. That time I went with Ezra, I only got to hold 1 pose. The rest of it, I was either feeding him, changing him, or comforting him, because turns out newborns don't feel all that secure in mother-infant warrior pose. Washcloths, overalls, superhero onesies. Folding these 6 loads of laundry will be the highlight of my week. And folding 6 loads of laundry will be the highlight of next week. Even with my dad out of the hospital. Even with the dogs out of our lives for good. Well, at least I have this Sunday night routine. At least I am in here making orderly piles and not out there trying to follow impenetrable origami instructions that expect you to coax a flimsy piece of paper into the 4th dimension. Okay, so the book says that we start by folding it in half. Murray, why are you turning the page? Ezra wants to do the plane, not the glider. Kevin, do the glider! Lisa, Ezra never gets to do what he wants to do. I know, but you're never going to be able to make that plane. The directions are too complicated. Lisa, would you please come out here and help me? No way! Then we're coming in to you. Come on, kids. Lisa, I could really use some help. Kevin, I could really use some time alone. I can't even depend on you for that. Sophie was so happy to see me before they gave her the shot that she pooped on me. I still have her poop on my pants. He knocks over the washcloth, starts flinging and kicking the overalls around the room, picks up a sippy cup and hurls it against the wall. I'm so angry, I want to throw something too, but the kids are wailing. Now he's coming towards me. Sophie needed me and you just locked yourself away in here like I don't even exist. You fucking bitch! Ezra wedges himself between us. No! Lisa, we need to get a divorce. He slams the door as he leaves. That was really scary. Come on. Kids, I'll clean up this mess in the morning. Let me just tuck you in here. Let me tuck you in. What, Ezra? It's when 2 people who are married, like Mommy and Daddy, decide to stop living together. I don't know, sweetie. I hope not. I could get all big, march out there, demand that Kevin go see his therapist, fool myself into thinking that I can just blast us out of this tunnel. I could ask him to leave. Is it time to give up on him like I gave up on Sophie? When my kids grow up, are they going to tell their friends about the weekend that their mom murdered the dog and kicked their dad out of the house? Kids make things complicated. They're the reason to stay and try to work things out. They're also the reason to separate. I mean,
Mom never set limits with Kevin's dad. Look what it did to Kevin. Kevin saw his dad hit his mom. Kevin's dad hit him. Mommy loves you very much. Daddy does too. Kevin, if you don't think your therapist can help you, I believe you, but I know. I've got to do something. I just don't know what's going to work. Well, what about that place Fiona and her husband have been going to since she got released from the psychiatric ward? They say that place helps people who don't even like therapy. Are all the therapists women? I think there are a few men. Why? I don't think I can do the work that I need to do with a woman. Because you've already worked out your issues with your mom. Yup, but I still haven't worked out the issues with my dad. I need to see a male therapist. A really macho male therapist. You may think that I'm fooling myself, that this is just part of that cycle that I heard about on Oprah. And when I saw those women on Oprah, I swore to myself, if I were them, I would get the hell out. But now that I'm actually in this situation, I realize it's really hard to know what the right thing to do is. Maybe I am fooling myself. I believe in him. What can I say? I'm all about the long shot. I'm going to go into the kids now. You're probably not going to believe me when I say this, but none of this was your fault or Mommy's fault. My dad used to yell at me like that, and he yelled at my mom too, and I hated him for it. I'm going to go see someone called a therapist, and he is going to help me figure out something to do when I get angry besides yelling and hitting things. Good intentions are one thing, but can we choose to change? We all know people who've tried and failed. Let's find out. Six months later, Ezra tells us that he wants chickens. He settles for an ant farm. I go online and discover an ant farm developed by NASA. It is made out of hard plastic filled with green gel. The ants tunnel their way through the gel, eating as they go. I am thrilled that once you get the ants onto the farm, you never need to interact with them again. And the NASA Space Gel Ant Farm doubles as a nightlight. It arrives in the mail. Mommy, where are the ants? Oh, Ezra, that's how it works. Ant farm first, then ants. You wouldn't want it the other way around. Trust me. Here, you can help me type in the password to order them. It's Colony. Meet you in the back room. Ezra's talking! Isn't it amazing? First, the phonemes. Wha, where, ma, mommy, na, ta, sta, da, ants. And then word placement and conjugation. And after years of hard work, a complete sentence. Mommy, where are the ants? A miracle. A miracle I was part of. Ezra's first sentence was, Maddie has pink eye. Maddie is our friend Fiona's daughter. Fiona's doing great. She's been out of the psychiatric ward for months. The ants arrive in the middle of a heat wave. It's 95 degrees and we're running late. Kevin is going to do some work to prepare for an audit, and I'm taking the kids to Fiona's house for a play date. We're finally ready to get in the car when the mailman arrives with the ants in a test tube, nestled in a padded envelope. They're each as long as a nickel. The mailman also brings Murray's light-up shoes. Okay, Lisa, I got Murray squared away with the shoes. Let's take care of the ants after I get home. Kevin, we can't do that. It's super hot. We don't know what they've been through already. You make a good point. Okay, so the directions say that we need to sedate them in the refrigerator for 15 minutes before we transfer them to the farm. We don't have that kind of time. Well then, how about we put them in the freezer for 5? That could kill them. Well then, let's follow the directions for once and put them in the refrigerator for 15 minutes and then I can finally get to work. Kevin, I know what to do. I'm just going to take the top off this one. Hand me that test tube, thank you so much. Ten ants are loose on the dining room table. Kevin, get them! With what, Lisa? Your finger. Okay. Motherfucker, he bit me! Kevin, would you please watch your language? I'll just pick him up with this index card. That's too thick. Do them one at a time. I already got 4 on the card, but 3 more just escaped. We'll deal with those later. The 3 that escaped are crawling down the table. Murray, come over here. Kevin, put the top on. Put the top on. For the motherfucking love of God, put the top on! You decapitated one of them! I just put him out of his misery. You already maimed him with that index card. Great, just great. And now the rest of the ants are loose on the floor. Next time, Kevin, be ready to put the top on when I tell you to. There isn't going to be a next time, Lisa, because I'm just going to put Murray down, and he and his light-up shoes are going to solve our ant problem once and for all. So here we are. It's either a beginning or an end. Lisa, why should I listen to you when you never, ever listen to me? Because I want to save the ants, and you don't. If I didn't feel so scared, I might want to save them too. Wow. That was different. Given Kevin's background, imagine how hard it was for him to admit that to me. I feel kind of scared too. Am I worthy of Kevin's vulnerability? Can I join him in this small space that he's tunneled out, and can we make it bigger together? Kevin, what are you scared of? That you won't listen to me. That my needs don't count. Honey, I'll listen to you this time. I promise. I need your help. I feel terrible that I brought more creatures into our lives and hurt them. I'm also scared that my plan won't work. Look, I know it's a long shot. They don't always work out, but I promise I won't be angry. Okay then. Murray, you have an important job to do. Keep both feet on the floor, and you need something to do with your hands, so hold on to this shoebox. We might need it for something. Lisa, you are going to scoop up the ants, but you are not using that index card. Well, what should I use instead? The origami paper! That is a brilliant idea.
And I'm going to use this second piece of origami paper to keep the ants that you capture from escaping from the front. Okay, go. Don't rush it. Do them one at a time. Okay. Kevin is much better at this than I am. I should probably tell him that, shouldn't I? Kevin, our colony needs you. I need you. I need you too, Lisa. Ezra is tracking the ants that are still on the loose. Four more! Four more! Murray is holding on to that shoebox and keeping his feet on the floor. Two more! Two more! One more! One more! Over there, Mommy! Over there! Good job, Mommy! Good job! All of the ants, with the one tragic exception, are safe on the farm. Look what happens when I turn to Kevin and say, I don't know. When Kevin admits that he's scared, but lets me depend on him anyway. When we don't keep our struggles a secret from the kids. Listen to this new language that we're learning to speak. It's a language our parents couldn't teach us because they didn't speak it themselves. We are learning to speak it gradually, phoneme by phoneme. I just really want to thank all of you for coming. I particularly want to thank Mark and Deborah for hosting me. And also thank them because they gave me my first real job, which made everything else in my life possible that's been good. And I want to thank Maggie, my creative consultant, who chose much of the music and did everything for the postcard and is just a miracle worker. I want to thank my husband Kevin for showing up and being in good spirits. Bless his heart. I want to thank Echo for running the sound for me, and I want to thank David for being my director, and I want to acknowledge Gage, who was Ezra's speech therapist, who really made a difference.
Good. Why don't we just take a little break and then we'll talk about what we saw.